Hi, I'm Kathy. Welcome to Glamour Galore. So this is the last one in our series of 3 featuring our beautiful ladies close-ups as well as the Versamagic chalk inks. So let's have a look at who we're using today. We're going to pick on Miranda today. And Miranda is a very elegant lady and we're going to mix her in with a little bit of spider webs to make a Halloween look, and also we're going to do some face painting with some of our mask accessory stamps, which are these little swirls and curls. Okay, so let's do the Halloweeny look first. So I've already pre-stamped her just to make sure she's had plenty of drying time, and also so that we can just move ahead with the other bits that we want to add to this one. So I'm going to cover her. Actually, I might stamp this one with a block, not the platform, because I want to have a big mask in place. So we're going to pop Miranda down and we're going to cover her with a mask that I've cut out of her face. We then get our spider web stamp and I'm just going to have a bit of a look at how it's going to fit on the card on her face first, before we stamp it in, just to see which bit of the stamp I actually want. No, I think that bit's going to curve around her eye nicely. Okay, so that's the bit we want. So let's ink up with our Versafine Black. So Versafine I'm using because I want it to dry to a waterproof finish, because we're going to be using some of the Pentel colour brush markers over the top with a water brush. So let's place this in. So I'm arcing around her eye. Give it a nice push. Okay, then we're going to echo that. Let's give that a little bit of quick dry. We're going to echo the spider webs around the rest of the card. So let's cover her up. So this is a mask I've made on a post-it note of her whole face. So pop that one in. Now you don't have to, when you're cutting out your masks, you don't have to include every little tendril of hair or every little eyelash. Anywhere that's black is not going to get affected by you stamping over the top of it. So we can leave those ones without bothering with cutting the mask around really fiddly little bits. So let's get our Versafine Black ink again. Ink up. Now some of the web has some nice tendrily bits, so I'd really like to get those on here. So let's stamp there. And we might do one down the bottom as well. Oh, it's my arm right in front of the work area. Oh dear. Push down nice and firm. And then we can lift up and lift off our mask and see what we've created. So we've got Miranda in amongst the webs. Now let's give that a bit of a heat set and then we can start doing some colouring. Now of course these inks don't need to be heat set. I'm just speeding up the drying so that I don't smudge things as we go. Bit of a dry on the back as well. Okay, let's start adding some colour. So because we're doing a Halloween look, I'm going to be looking at using some mauves and some oranges. So I've got out in my Versamagic inks, I've got some Mango Madness for some orange. We've got some Spring Pansy and Purple Hydrangea for our purples. But I will start off with Sahara Sand for our initial base colour for her face. So I'll again cover her up with a mask. And add in our base colour. Pick up my Sahara Sand brush, which is a number 10 brush, and just come on with some circles. So start off on your scrap so you don't get everything too strong when you first go on. You really don't want blobs of colour with your base foundation layer. It's better to actually have too little and then add a bit more in than to have too much. sure I've got her ear well and truly covered. Okay. Now I've got to make up my mind what colours I'm using. I think we're going to go with, let's do some Mango Madness for her hair. So I've got another mask here where I've just cut out her hair. So we can position that one over the top. Open up our Mango Madness. Now I am going to add some colour brush markers into her hair as well. But I'm just going to give it a bit of a base of the Mango Madness, and then we can add to that. Okay, let's grab, just dust a bit of the, I think it was, might have been the Red Magic, might have been the last colour I used on this brush. So just shade a bit of mango into her hair. Now this time I can go quite quickly, I don't mind if this is patchy, whereas the face I wanted very smooth. Here, for the hair, a bit of texture would be fine, and because we're actually going over it with a brush marker to add more texture, okay, so a little bit of orange there. Right, let's add in, now instead of using our normal pinky colours for blush, we're going with the purples for our blush and our eyes. Let's pick out our two purples that we're going to use. So Spring Pansy and Purple Hydrangea. We can use our mask again that just gives us the face. And I'm going to need to turn her around so that I can chisel the blush. So picking up a bit of colour on my brush. I'm going to first do a little bit of soft mauve and just circle that in, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of the darker colour, take a bit of excess off on my scrap, push the brush down and really give some sharp tones to our blush there. Just brush that off and we'll add a little bit of the softer mauve on this side. And we might add a little bit around the top hairline as well. Okay, now we also want to add some shadows in along our spider webs there. But I'm going to do that with the small applicator, which I'll use for doing her eyeshadow. So let's just grab a fresh applicator out. And again, we'll go with the lighter colour first. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of mauve just on the end of my applicator, shade it in and drag it up. I'm just doing circles or patting. I've got a lot of eye area to play with here on Miranda, so I can really bring that right up. Now I'm going to pick up some of the darker purple and go more in at the base of the lash line. But we'll still drag it up a bit just so that it blends in with the first one. So place it and then drag it. If you're getting a bit too much, you can always switch to the other side of the pad, or you could come in with a brush and just soften it out with a brush if you felt you needed to. Now I think we're going to need a little bit of colour underneath her eyes as well. So again, place it nice and close to the lash line. Just a little smooshy back and forward. Ooh, she's looking a bit spooky already. Excellent. Now, I was going to do a little bit of shading along that, the web here. Let's think which edge might have shading. This edge, I think. And now we're going to repeat some shading, which we might just pick up a little bit of Mango Madness and put a bit on the spider webs. So I'm just doing circles here. And I'm going to add some background colour to the whole card with this. I want to bring purple in around the outer edge. But I'll just bring some mango in, not quite meeting up with Miranda, leave a little bit of a glow around her. Now very quickly pick up a bit of our purple and just shade along some of these. Now I'm hurrying along a bit because I want to do 2 cards in this demonstration today, so I'm sort of pushing through. Normally I would take a little bit more time and colour them a little bit more accurately, but I want to be able to get through the 2 different looks for Miranda, so I'm just roughly putting this colour in. Now let's shade around with our deeper purple. So I'll grab a purple brush and we'll smoosh this all around the outer edge of the card. This will get a lot brighter in a minute when we start adding in the colour brush markers. We're all doing fairly muted at the moment. But believe me, there is some bright to happen yet. Just thinking, while I'm doing that, let me just grab Miranda's earring, which I thought I had put out. Oh yes, oh, look, I've even put it onto a block already. Let's just grab Miranda's earring, ink that up with that dark purple. So this is done separate so that you don't have to have her with the earring on, but you can if you want to. It gives it a lovely long hooped earring. Right, okay, let's put these colours away and we'll just give it a little bit of a dry with the heat gun, and then we'll get our brush markers out and start getting some watercolour happening. Okay, a bit of a heat set. So this is with the advantage of the chalk inks. We get the soft velvety look, but we can also dry them, and then they're not going to smudge because they dry waterproof. They're not going to smudge when we do the watercolouring over the top. So we can add some lovely bright highlights. Now you can also, I'm just going to show another card that I was working on and just do a little bit more of it. One with Greta, just showing how you can create black hair with the water brush markers. And what I've done here is I've actually used the grey first. So I've coloured an area in with grey. And you can either, when you're getting near the hairline, you can either feather it that way, or you can start from that end and feather it up. Not going over her ear, that's not such a good idea. And then putting in the black. Even though we want it to have black hair, we don't want it to be a solid black. So we pop the grey in first, and then you can add the black where you think there would be some shadow marks, some shadows in the hair. And then we can use our water brush, because these are so water soluble, we can use our water brush to spread that black out. And what we end up getting is this look of quite dark hair, but still with a few highlights in it. So that's one way of creating black hair, using the watercolour brush markers. But what we're going to do on Miranda is use the base of the Mango Madness chalk ink and just add our extra colour, so our shadows, with a bright orange. Let's see how it looks, shall we? So I've got the orange. Just give my water brush a bit of a clean because I was just using the black on it. Actually, it's nice and clean. And now this lighter orange that we've got there isn't going to move. So it's going to give us a few highlights. Now we could leave it just brushed on like that. In fact, I'm liking some of those. I might just leave that one like that and blend it with the water brush around here. So you can see how we're getting love. Actually, no, I did like it with the water brush. Let's come in and just blend a little bit more. But I'm not trying to blend the lines out completely. Again, it's going to give us, we're getting one colour where we've got the Mango Madness underneath. We're getting another colour, which is the strong orange. And then we're getting a mid-tone where we're using the water brush. Let's see if I can not go over her ear this time though. So let's just get in with a little bit of water. So you're just sort of dabbing. Just scruffing it a bit, but not trying to actually blend it too much. But how much is that now starting to really stand out from all the soft colours? Just by adding that little bit of bright in there. So let's add some wiggles in with this lot. And this is where we can get right down and add some with the longer wiggles of hair. And even the earring, because we've stamped that in the chalk ink, that's not going to smudge as we add in our little bit of water. That is so cool and very Halloweeny. Now I think she has to have orange lips to go with this. I'm just going to use my water brush just to push a bit of colour away where I want a bit of a highlight. Leave it darker on the other edge. And here we're just going to tease it up to the top lip a bit. But again, leave it with quite a lot of dark to light so that we really get a highlight showing out there on the top of the lips. You see how wonderful and easy these colour brush markers blend with that, just that little bit of water, so you can really get your difference from light to dark. Okay, orange eyes, was that a bit too much? We've got all that dark purple eyeshadow. Let's give it a look, try and see. If we don't like it, we can go over it with another colour. She could be wearing orange contact lenses, couldn't she? I think it looks fabulous. Or is it too spooky? All right, let's come in with a little bit of purple. Just tone them down a little bit, shall we? Thinking now maybe I should have gone with maybe green eyes or just purple. Never mind, she has spooky eyes, that's okay. Right, so now what we would do next is add a bit of glitter and stuff in there. Particularly we could add some liquid pearls in as well. It's almost too much to resist adding some pearls, but let's so these sort of bright colours would really go well. But let's just go with a little bit of glitter because I want to move on to the next card. So a little bit of our Sandstone Stickles, and we'll just particularly on the spider webs. Again, I'm not taking too much trouble. I'm mainly following the outer the lines going out, but I'm not being too picky with it. I just give a little squeeze to the bottle and then just move the nozzle through it just so we get that little bit of sparkle happening. And I do think we need some sparkle on her eyelids. Now because we've got the eyelashes there, I'm actually going to try and dab in between the eyelashes a bit so you don't lose them completely. And we could do some swirls in her hair. Oh, now that's pretty cool as a Halloween card. Your last thing, of course, would be to add a little bit of our glossy accents to her lips. Gorgeous. Now, let's see if we can quickly get through another one for Miranda. I've already set up some stamps on her face. She's already been stamped. And I've set up the little ones from the mask accessories on her face where I want them to go. So I can just now lay that into my stamping platform. What I want to do is emboss these in white, and then they will resist the colours that we put on. So I can pick all those up. I did have to use a pair of tweezers, or you can use a pokey tool just to move them around when they were still on the face, just to move them around into the positions that I wanted them. Let's get my white embossing powder ready. And we're going to ink up with Versamark. Poor Matthew's having real trouble following me on this one because I'm trying to hurry through it a little bit. Okay, lots of Versamark on there. Give it a stamp. Let's pop our white powder on. Now I'm going to get my fine brush handle and just give that a couple of good thumps on the back so that we get it just on her face and not all over, sorry, on the part of the face that we want, not all over everywhere. Let me have a quick check how we went there, and then we'll start doing some colouring. So I can see I've got a little bit on her hair. So I'm just brushing off the excess that's where we don't want it. That would mean that I hadn't quite got this Versafine dry enough. And keep in mind, if you're working with Versafine Clear, it has quite a long drying time when you're still able to put embossing powder on. So of course, if you've got something like this where you don't want the embossing powder, you need to make sure you've given it that drying time. Just going to grab a finer brush because we've got a little bit in around her eye there where I don't want it. And hold that up there, and we're just going to tip those bits off. So you see how where it was covering the eye, it was making it look quite soft, which in itself doesn't seem too bad until you emboss it, and it would come up as lots of white dots. Okay, let's give that a heat. I'm just watching for it to change. As soon as it goes smooth, I'll move on to the next bit. Okay. Now you don't have to emboss these. I've done others where I've just stamped them in black or stamped them in a colour, but I just felt for this one I would like to have that white look that normally when I'm face painting I would do the colours and then come in with a white paint. But of course with our card making we can't put, unless we did white with a white gel pen or something, it's not easy to add white in afterwards. Let's give her a little bit of skin tone. Where is every colour except the one I want? Oh, it looks like being wheat. Pop her mask on. So with the mask in place, we pick up some Malted Mauve on our brush and just shading in, give her some cheek colour both sides. Might do a little bit down the neck, a bit along her hairline, just for a lovely little bit of warmth. Then I'm going to ink up the brush, tap off any excess, push the brush on its side so I've got a sharp edge next to her eye, and bring in some lovely soft eyeshadow there. And you'll start to see that we're starting to see the resist effect of the white embossing powder coming through. Now we'll just give her a little bit of quick hair colour with the Jumbo Java. So I'm going to whisk that mask out of there and pop the hair mask in. Pick up my number 10 size brush. And we will just very quickly pounce a bit of colour on there. Not taking too much trouble over it, just getting a bit of colour in there. Once I lift the mask off, I can see whether I want to bring a little bit more in where there's the ends of the hair. But pretty happy with that. Okay, so now we're going to give that a little bit of a heat set, and then we can start doing some watercolouring over the top. So I just want these inks to be really, really dry before we start adding water to them. Another little thing, sorry, before I heat set, let me just get my cloth and just buff off any ink off that embossing. Okay, now I'll give it a heat set. Now I do need to keep my heat gun moving because I don't want to over emboss those areas that have already been embossed, or else they would flatten down and go boring. Okay, and I'm thinking, what colours are we going to use on this one? We might give her some Turquoise Eyes. So let's add that in. And I've got my water brush standing by. So let's put a little bit of turquoise in there. And a bit on this side as well. Just go over areas a second time if I want to just deepen a few spots. Okay, and I'm just going to add some pink to her lips while I'm thinking about how I'm going to tackle the face painting side of it. In fact, I think we're going to go pink and orange on her lips. Miranda's going a little bit out there. So I can just use the pink brush to blend those together, or I could use my water brush. So if I think I've still got a few lines, I can just come in and just tease it a bit with a water brush. Just check which brush I'm holding in which hand. And let's pop some pink in the middle. Oh, she's pretty groovy today, isn't she? Blend them together a little bit. Cool. Okay, so what colours are we going to use here? I think we might start with some sky blue over her eyes. And pop that in, and then I'm just going to keep using my water brush just to blend these colours out a little bit. And then I reckon we need some pink. Don't forget, this is face painting. This isn't glamour makeup or anything. This is face painting. So we want lots of bright. So some blue and some pink over that side. Just clean your brush off on your scrap paper as you need to, so just give it a wipe. I don't know whether you can tell, but those colours that we've used underneath for the foundation colour are not going anywhere. So our watercolours are blending over the top, but without moving all that other wonderful colour shading and stuff that we put in below. Let's go a little bit of orange there, sorry, not. I want to leave a little bit of natural highlights in under her eyebrows there if I can. I don't know if you can hear it in the background of the video, but we've got a koala outside somewhere making noises. That's actually really good because we haven't had koalas here for a while. Or not that we've been able to hear them. Okay, so now our face painting. Let's start. What colours are we going to do? Let's go some blue. Which means we might need some blue over this way somewhere as well. So now I'm following the embossed area, but I want just a little bit of my colour each side, just so that it picks up on that embossing. But then we want to just blend it into her skin tones as well. Again, just wipe my brush clean when I need to so that I can blend and smudge those bits. Now we're going to be getting our colour more solid as we're going to closer to the eye there. So let's put some pink in here. Blend that in with our blues. The only thing when you're doing this is you've got to keep track of which hand's got your water brush in and which one's got a brush marker. So again, try and get either side of wherever you put the white and then blend off into the skin tones. So it's only just where you're finishing the face painting going into the skin tone that you've got to be a little bit more careful of your blending. Apart from that, we can be quite heavy with our colours. Let's get some orange in there. Matthew's coping very well with all this colour. A bit more pink. This sort of thing is so much fun because it's just so out there. You can just do whatever you want with colour. Because when you look at pictures of face painting, that's what face painting artists do. It's just loads of colour and glitter and as much glam as you can. But we actually don't want it into her ear, so let's make sure we clean that bit off. And blend a bit in with the blue. And again, we're going to have to blend off gently when we're getting down to where we want to meet up with skin tone. Oh my God, that's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Let's add a touch of pink just down there. Now, of course, this definitely needs glitter. Definitely. Now I won't stop to shade around the edge, but normally I would pick one of those colours and I could either shade with an ink or I could actually bring in my water brush. I could colour it onto my craft mat, pick it up with it, colour it onto the craft mat, pick it up with a larger water brush and actually watercolour around the edge of the card. That would look really good. But at this stage, we're just going to add some glitter in there and then she'll be fabulous. And I think just a straight silver might be the go. So we're adding glitter, but not competing with the other colours that we've got there. Let me just give my glitter a bit of a wipe. Okay. And then make sure it's going. That's better. There we go. Okay. So we could do just some dots, or we could do a line. It's being a bit cheeky with me. Come on, I really want silver today. Come on, behave, that's better. Follow curves, or just put in dots. Or you can actually just do like a general coverage of glitter. So we could just put some on and then just use the nozzle just to sort of scrape it around a bit. Make it look like some gems just around her actual eye. I'm chuffed. That's just so gorgeous, so glamorous. So that just shows how you can do some quite different looks. Let's take them all forward onto the black so that you can see them together. So there's Miranda with her face painting look as well as her Halloween look. And I'll just bring in some of the other cards that we've created in this series, just so you can see some comparisons of the looks you can get. We've got Greta with her flowers in her hair, and we've got Ashley done really soft and subtle with just some gentle background stamping. So just to give you a bit of an overview, some of the wonderful things you can do with our close-up ladies. I hope you're going to enjoy having fun with them and just creating as wild and wacky a looks as you can. Thank you for being on this journey with us through Versamagic inks. I think I've covered just about everything in the about 6 or 7 videos with what you can do with Versamagic inks. We'll do some more if we think of some more. But anyway, thanks for being with us today, and thank you for joining us on our journey with our ladies. Hope to see you again soon.